Well, top G and alleged misogynist Andrew Tate has been arrested for allegedly sex ring and sex trafficking related crimes. In this video, I'm going to break down what led up to his arrest, the arrest, and the after effects. In this video, you're also going to learn about some of the business tactics of Andrew Tate. And this is something that's actually exactly where we should start. See, on the internet, extremeness goes viral, especially if it's something that you want to say, but nobody else really has the courage to say because it's potentially not exactly politically correct, but it's something that a lot of people are thinking. This is something that Andrew Tate has taken to the extreme, and well, extreme is exactly what works really well on the internet. I'll give you an example, but let's just say, at times, Andrew Tate trends more than Donald Trump does on Google. Take a look at this. This is Google search trends showing the rise and decline of Andrew Tate's popularity. Well, I shouldn't say popularity, his search relevance on Google. Now, a lot of this decline likely had to do with the banning of Andrew Tate on a lot of social media platforms, especially YouTube and Twitter. However, as of November 21st, Andrew Tate's Twitter access has been restored. Now, even though his virality fell, it's starting to rise again, and I expect once the search trends update for the last few days, this search trend item over here is going to explode again. But compare this for a moment to Donald Trump. If you compare it to Donald Trump, you'll see that during his peak and even afterwards, he was either trending higher as the blue line than Donald Trump, or at the very least is keeping pace with Donald Trump, which is actually a pretty impressive feat for somebody in business like Andrew Tate. Remember, Andrew Tate runs a Discord that he sells monthly access to provide insight into business and hustling. Now, I haven't accessed his programs, and I'm curious if you want me to do a review on those programs. I also have my own programs, but I think anybody teaching programs is really somebody who's teaching programs with their own perspectives. So I don't really see other people's programs as competition. I see them as, hey, that's somebody else's perspective, right? Now, I've heard great things, but I've also heard some things that Andrew Tate isn't actually the one teaching in those programs, that really in his Discord you have a collection of random other people making commentary or videos. So I'm personally curious if it would make sense maybe for me to do a review of those. Let me know in the comment down below if you'd like that. Now, what I do think is incredible, though, is that Andrew Tate has figured out exactly how to make his name stand out on the internet. And I'll show you some examples, but keep this in mind. When you are in this sort of social media trend, where you have a large spike in social media attention and then a fall, you frequently need something pretty extreme to happen soon after that. And often what you'll do is you'll do what's known as poking the bear, or so to speak, you'll try to purposefully do things that are going to enrage a large group of people and find a whole nother group of people to defend you. And that's exactly what happened with Andrew Tate, and what potentially helped to lead to his arrest. Now, we'll break all of that down in a moment, but let's go ahead and start with a sample of a quote-unquote truth bomb from Andrew Tate. Now, here's one of the more popular pieces. Well, let's just watch the video and then I'll add some commentary.
Up until this point was based on freedom. How they advertised you to be a good slave was they would give you some freedom. And when I say slave, I use that word particularly because a slave used to work his ass off and he would get food and a house in return. And 99% of people out here, my friend, are working their asses off. They can buy food and a house. That's it. Most people are still slaves. They would tell you you're going to be a slave, but you'll be free at least. You know, you can do what you want. You can think what you want. You can say what you want. You can walk around outside, look at the trees. You're a slave, but you're free. Freedom, freedom, freedom. And what happened when they did this, something changed. The internet came. People started to talk. People started to think. People started to realize how money's made. People started to realize it's all a scam. Cryptocurrency was invented. Now you have Bitcoin, which is surpassing the global reserve currency. We don't need banks anymore. We don't need the IMF anymore. People are starting to talk. People have elected Trump, a man who's not bought and controlled by the establishment. People are starting to actually get their minds right. So the people in charge are like, oh, fuck. We're losing control. We no longer control the money. We no longer control who's in charge of each country. Oh, fuck, we got to put an end to this. We can no longer base our societies on freedom. We must base our societies on safety. You can't think for yourself We can't put these videos on YouTube because it's fake news and it's dangerous. You can't go outside because the virus and it's dangerous. You can't travel in between countries without that injection because it's dangerous. This is no longer about freedom, my friends. This is about your safety. They're going to take all your freedom away, and instead they're going to give you a nice big helping of safety. And you're going to take it and go, oh, at least I'm safe. You were safer before. You were safer before because now the government can arrest.
All right, so this gives you a sample of Andrew Tate here. Now, look at what he's doing here, right? He's taking a very populist approach. He's talking to you, right? The 99% is what he's saying. He's pointing to the camera. The 99% work their ass off. He gives you that feeling of justification. Yes, I work my ass off, but you're right. I feel trapped. I work from 9 to 5 and I feel like I'm struggling. I can't get out. I can't succeed. I can't get ahead. Or worse, you work the 5 to 9 in self-employment. You rent a house, you own a home, and that's it. The best you can hope for is a little bit of freedom to look at the trees. That's essentially what Andrew Tate here is saying, while at the same time playing to the fears that everything around us is a scam. It's all rigged. Look, for example, at what we saw as a reveal with the Twitter files, where the FBI is moderating satire, folks, and controlling the narrative around COVID. He's not wrong that it is very popular to argue that, hey, therefore, because things like this happen, the world around us is rigged. And so we have to figure out how to get above that and break out of that chain, right? And to be a top G, so to speak, is the idea. Now, my opinion is, I hear a lot of this that creates substantial cynicism and resentment and envy for those of us, especially who are succeeding around us in the world. The suit, so to speak, that ultimately the system's rigged and unless you're a criminal, you can't get ahead. Now, personally, I believe that this is very unfortunate because I believe there are really good ways to get out of what can feel like the trap. Personally, and I'm just going to give you a quick example here because I really want to stick to Andrew Tate and why he got arrested, but I do think that one of the reasons that you watch Andrew Tate is to try to maybe find a way to break out, and I want to give you that for free right now. I believe a phenomenal way for individuals to sort of break out of this trap is, quite frankly, owning real estate. Now, I do think we have a bad real estate cycle coming up here. We're on the downslide right now. But I personally think everybody watching this video should be motivated to think to themselves, why, Kevin? Why real estate? Well, because the net worth of someone who owns a home is 20 times that of a tenant. It's around $180,000, whereas the net worth of a tenant is around $5,600. Now imagine if you had 5 homes or 10 homes. You might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, Kevin, that's too many homes. Like, everybody should only own 1 home. Well, now you have to ask yourself, what's your goal? Do you want to break out, or do you want to be, a politician who's trying to go, no, you can't own multiple homes, right? If you want to break out, you actually want to build wealth, you should be thinking about, how can I buy my first home, a small home, rent it out? Then how can I buy a second home, rent that one out after I live there for a year, buy a third home, rent that one out for positive cash flow. Oh, while at the same time your tenants are paying down your mortgages, you're building your wealth. Now you have access to capital. Guess what you have when you have access to capital? You have access to choice and real freedom. That's what I did. And it's something, in my opinion, that is not a lottery. It's something that every single person watching this video can do. Now, not every single person will do this. People will choose to continue to be renters. They will choose inaction over action. But I do want to provide you the motivation that if what Andrew Tate is saying resonates with you and you're frustrated about the system, how it feels rigged, don't let the cynicism box you into a corner where you get stuck in a world of conspiracy and the belief that you can't get ahead. Know that you can. You just haven't found the way to play the game yet. He's not wrong in that, yeah, some things are rigged, but if you learn how to play the game, you can also win the game. Okay, so obviously Andrew Tate takes the position of very, some he hits on a lot of negativity, right? Fortunately, some of Andrew Tate's fervor gets either taken out of context or carried away, or he legitimately is a misogynist. Now, we don't exactly know this because anytime there are allegations like some of those that I'm going to show you in this article, I want to be very clear that Andrew Tate takes the argument that this is all fake news, this is not true, these are lies, and that anytime there's a video clip of him being aggressive with a woman, it's actually all part of an act to try to bring attention to sexual exploitation, which is really interesting because he was just arrested for exactly that. But then again, we have to say that these are just allegations against him. We don't yet know the actual truth. But just so you can understand a little bit more, at least what The Guardian has to say about him, Andrew Tate suggests that women belong in the home, can't drive, and are a man's property. Now, this I have seen him on the Piers Morgan show say exactly, basically argue that, women are essentially the property of men. Now, he's tried to defend this and walk around this a lot, but he pretty much does say this, okay? He also thinks rape victims must bear responsibility for their attacks and dates women aged 18 to 19 because he can, quote, make an imprint on them, according to videos posted online. Now, some people say that what he means by this is he tries to bring them into the world of social media and monetize them through, like, basically OnlyFans, which is potentially a form of sexual exploitation, especially if you trap somebody, whether it's physically or with even the golden handcuffs against their will. Golden handcuffs, of course, is a reference to, hey, you're gonna go out there and be broke and live on the street unless you basically subject yourself to my organization where we're now going to put you on camera and make you make money and we're gonna take a large cut of it. Right? Who knows? In other clips, the British-American kickboxer who poses with fast cars, guns, and portrays himself as a cigar-smoking playboy talks about hitting and choking women, trashing their belongings, and stopping them from going out. Quote, "It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and grip her by the neck, shut up, B," he said in one video, acting out how he'd attack a woman if she accused him of cheating. In another, he describes throwing a woman's things out of the window. In a third, he calls an ex-girlfriend who accused him of hitting her, an allegation he denies, a dumb H. Okay, so we'll stop right there, and let's get a little bit more now. Now you have some background here, okay? You've got what the arguments are on the woman's side. You've got what Andrew Tate does to argue that the world and the system is rigged, that everything is a scam, that the Bitcoin and the internet is basically allowing us to see the light. And now we get to where, because Andrew Tate's popularity, or maybe his attention, I should say, not necessarily popularity, but his attention has started to go down, he's had to start posting a little bit more aggressively. So leading up to what has recently exploded Andrew Tate in the eyes of many on social media and the internet is, well, kind of the run-of-the-mill, everyday, quote-unquote, top G stuff, where you see him driving a very nice car, driving up to a rented or chartered, basically, private jet. This is very normal, so you see him getting out of, again, a car that costs $400,000, which potentially is also rented. And I'm not trying to bag on it, I'm just saying, like, if you're in a foreign country, you can rent these, although he does claim to own somewhere around 30 vehicles. You know, here you go, you've got the Jet X, which is a chartering company for private planes, and you can fly these pretty inexpensively if you go short distances, you have someone else carry your bag for you. That's actually something that's really incredible. If you want to make a really good marketing video, you just take a private jet and you fly it like 15 minutes somewhere. Now that sounds crazy, but you generally get charged by the billable hour with planes, plus some taxi and landing times. So if you take a very, very short flight, you can get your clips done on the plane, you can take off on the plane, you can do everything on the plane and make it seem like, oh yeah, you live in that really expensive lifestyle without actually spending a lot of money. Now, I know a thing or two about jets because I personally just bought a $13 million private jet, which is strictly for business purposes. You can watch my other videos on that, but I'm just trying to provide that insight into you. Like, it's very common on social media for people to do this, to either buy very, very old planes that don't actually fly, or charter jets as sort of a marketing piece, right? And this is sort of the idea, is that in between marketing pieces, you get, you know, some inspirational quotes or some agitating quotes, whatever. Here's some images of Andrew Tate, you know, basically dressing up as the quote-unquote top G. Okay, so what caused a lot of issues for Andrew Tate recently? Well, it was the following. He decided to quote-unquote poke the bear. The bear in this case being Greta Thunberg. This is your 19-year-old climate activist who went viral about 3 years ago when at the United Nations, she made a very impassioned speech about climate change. Anyway, So he writes her. I could not find any evidence that she was provoking him. Who knows? Maybe there was an interview comment or something. But anyway, Andrew Tate writes, "Hello, Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W 8-liter quad turbo. My two Ferrari 812 have a 6.5-liter V12 engine in each of them. This is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions." Here's a posed photo of him in what appears to be Romania, which that actually becomes very important in just a moment. So Greta actually replies to this. Well, first he replies to himself with sort of this meme clip here of saying things like, "I shouldn't be up here." Meanwhile, clips of racing vehicles, different rented jets. He's laughing at her saying, "You've stolen my dreams." And here we go into more chartered jets and rented jet skis. Okay, all right, so we got that out of the way. No electric car comment over here. Ross Gerber replying, "My Tesla Plaid will kick the crap out of all of your cars and then drive itself home. No gas required." Okay, so Greta actually ends up responding to this, and this is where things get interesting because Greta ends up nailing the 25th most popular tweet to break the internet. Take a look at this. "Yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com." Now this basically broke the internet because this was essentially deemed the biggest burn by Greta of Andrew Tate. Now, Andrew Tate ends up responding to this with a video. Now, the video is not so important, but it shows him in essentially a bathrobe and likely little else, and this image here of Jerry's Pizza, which this becomes very important because apparently Jerry's Pizza is a Romanian pizza brand, and shortly after this post, Andrew Tate was arrested. All right, let's listen in.
Controversial internet personality Andrew Tate has been detained in Romania. The former professional kickboxer has been accused of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organised crime group. He was detained along with his brother Tristan and 2 other Romanian suspects. In a statement, Romanian prosecutors said, quote, "The 4 suspects appear to have created an organised crime group with the purpose of recruiting, housing and exploiting women by forcing them to create pornographic content meant to be seen on specialised websites for a cost." Prosecutors said they had found 6 women who had been sexually exploited by the suspects. Tate has been banned from many social media platforms for misogynistic comments and hate speech. He previously said women are partially responsible for being raped and that they belong to men. Earlier this week, he was told to get a life by the climate activist Greta Thunberg after he boasted to her that he owned 33 cars with, quote, enormous emissions. The Tate brothers have been under criminal investigation since April. They declined to comment, but their lawyer confirmed they had been detained.
Okay, all right. So there you have a really good summary of essentially this detention. Remember, he was he is a former professional kickboxer. Him and his brother were detained, allegedly potentially up to 4 individuals. It's unclear whether or not he has been released from jail, although he has tweeted since his arrest, what's very interesting about that is some folks say, oh, he must have already been released. However, the Romanian police say no, other people have control of his account and are posting. I personally wouldn't be surprised if he has a lot of editors who do post content for him, so that doesn't surprise me. I don't think he is putting out every single piece of content. There's just so much of it. There's so much. So we do have some things to unpackage, though, after this. For example, here is a post by Patrick Bet-David. I went on his podcast when I ran for governor. I didn't actually go very well, the podcast, but you know what? I tried my best. I did run for governor in California. I tried getting that Gavin Newsom guy out. But anyway, so Patrick Bet-David, I like the guy. I think he's great. I want to break down this comment here. He says, I don't know exactly the details of the Andrew Tate arrest, but here's what I do know. A day after he publicly calls out one of the woke's heroes, they raid his place. Strange timing. Meanwhile, they haven't arrested anyone from Epstein's, island. So, okay. This is an interesting argument. That's basically saying Greta is a definition of the woke left, and Andrew Tate sent out a little attack, a playful attack, and all of a sudden he's arrested. Okay, so after the Twitter files, I understand the conspiratorial angle of a lot of things on the internet. I get it. I personally think this investigation is not, and that raid we saw, is not something that could have been put together in 2 days because the Romanian police saw a pizza box. Even when you land on a private jet, you still have to check in through customs. You have to show your passport. You get scanned in. I really doubt a pizza box and his tweet led to this. That does seem like very convenient timing, though. Is it possible that the arrest was maybe scheduled for in the future and it was moved up because of this? That, in my opinion, is probably the furthest I'd go, but who knows? I don't even know if that's likely. Anyway, it's interesting, and obviously it gets a lot of attention because, again, this is an example of saying things that people are going to believe, and it certainly raises some eyebrows. You can't argue that. After all, Patrick Bet-David responds and says, look, Andrew Tate is loud, he pushes the envelope, true. He frustrates the left, true. He points out hypocrisy, true. Although there's some cases where people will say that he is a hypocrite himself. He's duplicating young men to also do the same thing. I'm not sure that's necessarily a good thing. Some of the that everybody should aspire to do exactly what Andrew Tate does, especially we'll see what these allegations are. But he does, Patrick Bet-David does argue that, look, you are innocent until proven guilty, because if he did commit a crime, the proper agencies will do what they need to do. I think this is fair. I think the rule of law is extremely important, and I will say, generally on the internet, when somebody is arrested, there's the assumption that they are guilty before they're proven innocent. And unfortunately, that's something that everybody should respect, is that allegations don't necessarily mean that you're guilty, right? And I think that's very, very important. Of course, everybody will make their own opinions. Of course, Top G is trending all over the internet right now. And there are some interesting clips where Andrew Tate potentially predicts sort of his own arrest. Although it's very interesting because it does make you wonder, did you know this was on its way, and then you were kind of planting the seeds knowing that people would easily pick up on your videos, saying, aha, this is why they got him. It's the perfect marketing strategy. It's like playing 4D chess, except you're playing it with your own freedom. There we go. Let's see.
I'm not going to give too many stories, but on multiple occasions they've tried to get me to sign contracts and offer me a bunch of money to shut up and agree to this and agree to that, and I won't do it. So now they're sitting there going, okay, there's this person with massive influence, perhaps the most influential man in the world. We've offered him to sell his soul so we can control him. He won't do it. He can influence things massively. He is a wild card. What do we do about this person? And they sit and go, okay, well, accuse him of something, put him in jail. And if that doesn't work, then it's like, oops, car crash. I don't know. I hope I'm going to balance it just right, and I'm going to save the world and awaken people from the Matrix and stay breathing as long as possible.
I mean, you have to give him credit. It's such a perfect video that starts trending right after you get arrested. It's like, okay, him with the signing contracts, my assumption is these are marketing contracts from businesses who want to sell products to his audience. But the contracts say, hey, look, we're only going to do this deal if you shut the F up about certain comments and you don't make certain comments that might be deemed, let's say, misogynistic, right? That is an example of essentially a business form of censorship in exchange for money. And he's saying, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell my soul, which is really powerful. Very, very powerful statement. You have to give him that. Great marketing piece. Whether it's true or not, it comes across as top G. Then, of course, the suggestion that, look, and if that doesn't work, they'll either arrest you and, accuse you of something, or they'll kill you. And he was just arrested. So, I don't know. I want to know what you think. Now, if you are curious, I do have my own programs on building your wealth linked down below, and one of those programs did take inspiration from Andrew Tate's name. His Andrew Tate's course is Hustlers University 2.0. I have one my own that is called Elite Hustlers University. And again, this is not to compete. I think that everybody should, just like reading books, share the perspectives and opinions of others. If you're more interested in what I talked about regarding real estate, do check out the Zero to Millionaire Real Estate Investing course linked down below, and let me know if you'd like me to do an unbiased review, as much as that is possible since I am providing you my biases, about Andrew Tate's programs in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck.